Hi. As I said in my last video, no one is born with confidence. But yet no one is born without it either. It's not usually one big event that takes your confidence. Yes, things can come along that knock you sideways. But more often than not, it's the little moments, the well-meaning suggestion from others about what's best for you, the comments that quietly suggest they know better than you. And before you realise it, you stop trusting yourself. You see, these moments are subtle because they often sound like they're caring, but unfortunately they carry a sting. Think about being upset as a child and hearing, "Oh, don't be silly." Or, maybe you were told, "You're too sensitive." The message isn't about the actual moment. It's actually about who you are. You see, if you were happy and laughing, full of energy, and maybe loud, someone says, "Be quiet, you're too much." So in that moment, what do you learn? You learn that your joy, your energy, your very presence needs toning down. And it doesn't stop in childhood, unfortunately. At work, you might share an idea and a boss or a colleague dismisses it with a laugh. Or someone else says, "You know what, you're always overthinking things." You see, it's harmless on the surface, but inside it chips away. And you take those comments in, and what you hear isn't just the words, it's the hidden message underneath. You're wrong. You can't trust how you feel, and you can't trust yourself. That's how confidence gets chipped away. It's not in one fell swoop, but it's little by little and day after day. And the danger is you don't even realise it's happening because it all just sounds so ordinary, like everyday conversation. So then what do? You start trying to do everything right. And what I mean is you bend yourself out of shape. And you do that so that others will like you, accept you, approve of who you are. You see, that's where the people pleaser then shows up. You silence yourself. You agree when you don't agree. You put other people's needs before your own. And then the more you do that, the more you lose who you are. Now, I can say this with quite certainty because it was me. I used to nod along. I'd say yes, even when inside I thought no. I used to agree just because it was easier. It's what I call being a passenger on my own bus, letting others decide where I went while I just sat there quietly going along. You see, being a passenger feels safe in the moment, but over time what happens is you disappear. You're watching the world go by, but you are not steering. You are not directing any of it. You're moving, but the direction isn't yours. And so slowly, you start not even recognising yourself. And then what I realised was, I don't know myself. I don't like myself. And that was the real problem. I remember travelling with a friend many years ago, and she could see the struggle. And she brought me a card, and on the front of it said, "Be you and be that perfectly." Now, it's taken me a long time, but that's what I've learned to do. I've learned to be me. You see, when you don't learn to be yourself, which means you just keep people pleasing and you keep bending to fit in, what happens is confidence thieves creep up. Fear, doubt, worry, and perfectionism. You see, fear, an example would be, maybe there's a job you want to go for, but you don't because you think, "Oh, I won't get it anyway." But you'll never know if you could have got the job because you didn't try. You see, there's doubt. Maybe you have something to say in a meeting, but then you think, "God, what if I say it and I'm wrong? It'd be so embarrassing." So then you don't speak up. Someone else does, and they say what you were thinking, and then they get the credit. And then worry. Pain suffered for something that hasn't happened yet and may never happen. You see, you lie awake at 3 o'clock in the morning running through disasters, and by morning you're exhausted and you are no more prepared. And there's that thing called perfectionism. You don't write the book. You don't launch the business. You don't take the risk because you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, and the perfect you. But that time never comes because perfection doesn't exist. It never has done, it doesn't today, and it never will. And here's the problem. When you're hard on yourself, when you believe you're not good enough, then that story runs on loop. Now, you might not be repeating it to yourself every second of the day, but it sits on the sidelines. It's waiting. And then the moment it finds evidence, it jumps in. "See, I told you. And then you put yourself down. And that's the vicious circle. And if you're not careful, it becomes a soundtrack to your whole life. But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come back in one big breakthrough. It's not overnight. But it does come back in your small choices. Saying no when you mean no. Speaking up when you disagree. Trusting yourself to take the wheel, even if it feels shaky. And here's the thing about driving the bus. Some people will get off when you start driving it yourself. They may not like it. You might even ask some people to get off, and that's okay, because others will stay, and new people will get on board. And those are the right people, the ones who want to travel with the real you. So driving your bus doesn't mean the road is smooth or perfect. It just means it's yours. You're steering, you're deciding the stops, you're just choosing the passengers, and that's how you stop being invisible and start living as yourself again. So remember how confidence gets stolen. It's little by little and by those thieves. But here's the good news. Your confidence is still there. It has not gone anywhere. So it's just time to learn how to uncover it and then how to fuel it. And most importantly, how to drive your own bus. And that's exactly what I'll share in the next video.